This episode of The Young Turks is brought to you by Netflix. Go to netflix.com/TYT for an awesome free trial membership. Jared Loughner. He's the guy who, of course, did the shooting here of Congresswoman Giffords and 19 others. And there's been talk in the media about whether this is political or it's not political. First, let me start with the obvious. He's a psycho. He's not just a regular old psycho in terms of anybody who does a shooting is psychotic enough to begin with, but this guy is grade A psycho. I've watched all of his videos. I've read what he's said online. He's obsessed by a number of things. The currency, about gold and silver as opposed to dollar currency. He's concerned about grammar and literacy and the meaning of words. Now, I looked at it carefully to see if he had a point about whether grammar and the meaning of words like terrorism, which he discussed. I just wanted to just give it a look to see, my guy, does this make any degree of sense? In the end, I came to the conclusion that, like Beautiful Mind, he's writing things on a chalkboard, and they're not at all connected because the guy has lost his mind, okay? There's no connection between the grammar and the currency and all these wild conspiracy theories that he's got. And also, he does this thing about conscious dreaming, about remembering what you dreamt about, and he's obsessed by it. But as one of his professors explained, there is no logical nexus between any of his thoughts. The guy is crazy, right? So there's no question about that. Now, most of the people in the media then end the conversation and say, well, hence, it must not be political, and no one else is responsible other than Loughner for his crazy mind. Well, that's not where it should be. The conversation should be ended. He could be a psycho, and it could still be political. Now, he didn't go and shoot a butcher, a baker, or a candlestick maker. He shot a politician, and he shot a politician's aide, and he shot a judge. He also shot innocent victims at that political event. When they went to go find what his notes were, they did. They found his notes as to what he was going to do. He called it an assassination. Now, someone who cares about grammar and the meaning of words probably was not mistaken in what he called it. And it is obviously an assassination. And if you believe in terrorism at all, what is more terrorism than shooting one of our politicians, one of our judges, our innocent civilian victims? Well, that is terrorism, and this was definitely, in his own words, a political assassination. Now, was it right wing or was it left wing? Where is he coming from? Well, then the right wing will say, all right, maybe if it was political because he shot a congressman on purpose and called it an assassination, but he is, in fact, and right now, there are Tea Party advocates, conservative blogs, conservative commentators, all calling him a liberal. Now, let me just remind you of the most simple fact. He shot a Democrat. He didn't shoot a Republican. He shot a Democrat. By the way, they never shoot Republicans, and thank God for that. But they always do shoot Democrats. But I'm told that it's a wild coincidence. Every crazy person just randomly happens to shoot Democrats or what he views to be liberals inside a church or liberal organizations like Ties Foundation. It is all a wild coincidence. And the reality is, of course, it is not a wild coincidence. This guy, for all of his crazy ramblings, and he had a big reading list, and Mein Kampf was on it, but Communist Manifesto was on it, and so people say, oh, let's call it even. No, but the main thing you get out of it, and by the way, one of the stupid arguments for why calling him a liberal is that he was a self-avowed atheist and smoked pot. So that's what makes a liberal. He had, if you read all of it, there is not one thing in there where he says, I am on this side, and you can call it a liberal position, a progressive position, a democratic position. Not one, if you actually care to do the research. And by the way, I will remind you, he shot a Democratic politician, not a Republican one, and took a long time to prepare this. He'd been preparing this, and he had confronted her all the way back in 2007. Now, I'm not sure he was planning to assassinate her all the way back then, but that's when this all began. And he'd been planning this assassination for a long time. He was not mistaken. It was not random. It was directed at a Democrat. And his main political driving force, if you can paint it as one, other than being anti-immigration, which is also very conservative. And there were some rumors out, and then Department of Homeland Security saying whether he's tied to a racist group or not. Let's leave that aside for now, because that's not proven enough, right? But anti-immigration, but the main was anti-government. He hated the government. And anybody associated with the government, big government, etc., were the bad guys. Where have I heard that before? Okay, but no, they tell us it's all random. Get a load of Netflix. They deliver the movie to your house, no late charges, free shipping.
You can watch thousands of movies or TV shows straight on your PC or on your television through a gaming console.
Netflix.com/TYT. Free trial membership. You get Netflix all over you.